right, what's up, everybody? We're back with another podcast this week. We are Dog Awful Betting. I'm Vegas Knight. I'm here in Las Vegas at the South Point Sportsbook and Casino. I'm here with Sideways Darby joining us, Parlay Puffin joining us from the Show Me State. Sefi Sanchez is absent this week. I heard he had a gynecologist appointment today. Things just didn't go well. It had something to do with Daniel Jones not being able to pass the ball 10 yards or something like that and being a top 12 quarterback. I don't know, but he's not joining us this week. Please send your condolences in the comments. Like always, in the comments, leave us a message. He would appreciate that as he needs a get well soon message. But no, seriously, give us a like, a follow, a share. We do appreciate it. We're trying to build our following. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Dog Awful Betting. So go there, give us a follow there as well. We appreciate it. All right, let's get into it. There's a lot of information here. Week 4. There weren't like too many crazy injuries this week. Pickett has a bone bruise on his knee. I'm not real sure how significant that is. I haven't heard a whole lot of information on it. Herbert banged up his finger, one of his fingers on his non-throwing hand. He actually finished the game over the weekend, so I don't think he's going to miss any time. Stafford ended up with some type of hip bruise. I think that's kind of a questionable tag. I don't know how serious that's going to be. Javonte Williams has a hip injury. T. Higgins has a rib fracture. That one seems like it might be a little more serious. He might miss a couple weeks with that. Mike Evans has a hammy issue. They have a bye this week anyway, so he might be able to come back in week 6. Devontae Adams banged up his shoulder Sunday. I think we're waiting to see a little more information on that to see how significant that is. If they lose him, that's a big blow. On the defensive side of the ball, some big ones. Tre'Davious White tore his Achilles. He's going to be out for the whole season, so that's kind of detrimental to the Bills. Matt Judon has a bicep tear. Seems like he's going to be out indefinitely. They didn't rule him out for the season yet. And Jamal Adams, after being out a whole year, comes back, plays a couple plays, gets a knee to the head, and he's out with a concussion. Normally with the concussion, he may miss the next game, but it sounds like he'll be back. So hopefully it's not too severe there. You guys want to add anything to the injuries?
The big one for me is Tre'Davious White from Buffalo.
Yeah,
that's going to be. I know defensive backs normally aren't detrimentally, big time, but he's a big cornerstone of that defense. A lot like Diggs with Dallas. You lose one of those kind of guys, and it's going to take somebody to really step up and fill that hole for Buffalo on that back end. I think that's a pretty significant one.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is definitely a big hit to them. Their defense is something that something they need going into the playoffs and everything like that. To have him out for the year definitely hurts them. And I also think the Higgins one could play a factor. Burrow and the Bengals, they just they're in desperate times. I know that they kind of came out of the rabbit hole last year, starting 0-2 and then firing back. But they're really needing to get some wins here pretty quick. If not, it's going to be a really lost season with Burrow just dealing with his calf, and now Higgins out for the year, or not out for the year, but out for a while probably. Big hit to the Bengals, and really the expectations that we all had for them this year.
So, Nye, did they say was it an actual rib, or was it like the cartilage, like what happened to Herbert?
I'm not sure. I didn't dig a whole lot into it. I haven't heard it anymore.
I didn't either.
Just based on what I did see, he's definitely going to be out for the next several games at least. So, Gotcha. I'm not real sure how it's obviously significant if you're going to miss a couple games, but as far as the extent, I don't know. Gotcha. All right, let's get into the studs for week. What was it? Week 4. Start off with CMC, 171 total yards and 4 TDs. He's been a beast. I'm just waiting for him to get injured, but he keeps producing. But yeah, he's a monster right now. Khalil Mack had 6 sacks Sunday against the Raiders and 10 tackles. Like, he absolutely tore up the Raiders. I don't know if that was a little bit of a revenge game or what for him, but that was massive. AJ Brown had 9 receptions, 175 yards, and 2 TDs for the Eagles. Harrison Smith, safety for the Vikings, 14 tackles and 3 sacks. That's pretty big for a safety.
Oh,
Yeah. Nico Collins had 7 catches, 168 yards, and 2 TDs for the Texans. Josh Allen had another big week. 320 passing yards, 4 TDs, and 1 rushing TD. 5 total TDs that he accounted for. So he did pretty awesome. You guys want to add anything to the studs?
no, other than just CMC is just, he's unbelievable, right? I mean, how do you stop that team? If he's doing that, what do you do?
I mean, who have they played? Like who like I think they're obviously they're going to be tested this week with Dallas, but who have they played up until now? I don't.
I know
Can't think of
Pittsburgh
this.
won. They dominated Pittsburgh. We know how good their defense is. I remember they beat them week 1.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they played a crap schedule, but I'm thinking, let's see how good they really are now that Dallas is coming to town.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a good test for him, but I mean, man, he's running the ball really, really well, and I mean, he's just impressive. I mean, it just goes to show you that when you're a stud running back, man, you can make a difference. And the crazy thing, the stat I heard that he's not even like his MVP odds are like below, like I think even Herbert's got better MVP odds than what he does. Just shows you how much that like the QB is so important compared to the running back. I'm not saying that I stick up for it, but I'm just saying it's amazing that he's like plus 2,200 or something like that. Is what I think I heard the odds were. We're still like, it's unbelievable at this juncture that he's having the phenomenal season that he is, and he's not even still considered at all near one of the top MVP candidates.
Yeah, they need to come up with some type of formula to where like you can apply it to whatever position you're at. Come out with some type of number to like you got to even it out. Like, I get it, quarterbacks are important, obviously, but like if you're having a great season as a wide receiver or a running back, like you need to you need to get more recognition for an MVP. It shouldn't take a career year to be an MVP.
I
You know
agree
what I
with you.
mean?
I
Like,
agree.
if you can, if you're they have an overall great team in the Niners, but I'm just saying if he keeps putting up strong numbers, not necessarily historical numbers, like he should be in consideration for it. Like, it shouldn't just be automatic a quarterback award. I don't understand why the NFL does that.
I agree. I don't know if you could just make it some kind of like really offensive player, meaning running back, wide receiver type kind of thing. What is it we call in fantasy? Like when there's what is it? Wide receiver, tight end, and running back. What's
Flex.
that?
Flex.
The flex, the flex award or something like that. I agree with you, Knight. It's just one of those things I wish the NFL could fix. It's like in baseball, they have the MVP and then they have the Cy Young, where both
Yeah.
of them kind of rewarded for being great, and I do agree because 10 times out of 10, especially in the league today, the quarterback's always going to get it. And I mean, I'm not saying they should because, I mean, obviously you see what happens like with the Jets, what can happen when your quarterback is out, what could happen to any team. If Mahomes were to go out, goodbye season to the Chiefs. I mean, they are the most important position on the field. But I do agree. I wish that they had some kind of award because those guys deserve some kind of recognition. I mean, they deserve some, and an increase of pay. Hey, if you win this flex award this year, boom, you get an extra bonus. I mean, you should deserve all that stuff. I agree.
Well, don't they kind of? I mean, don't they kind of already have that with the
I know,
offensive player of the
I
year?
know where you're going. Yeah, you have the offensive player of the year, and they do have positional awards for your top players in that position, but they don't get the recognition that
Right.
the MVP does. And I think that you should, like, offensive player of the year shouldn't be allowed to go to a quarterback. Kind of what Shane's going, like a Fletch
Yeah.
award.
No, I agree. I
Like,
agree.
if you're going to consistently give MVP to a quarterback, even though it's not, it can go to anybody, but we know it's going to go to a quarterback. Give the offensive player of the year more recognition than like we do the MVP. Anyway, let's go to the duds on Sunday. I ran out of paper. I only had room to write one. Unfortunately, I did write Mahomes in there with his dud of 200 yards, 1 TD and 2 interceptions. He actually got outplayed by Zach Wilson. They did win the game though, so that's what's important. But Mahomes did not play well. Do you guys want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it was a weird. It was just a weird game for me. I think it didn't look like he was. I don't know. It was just a weird game. They got up 17-0 like that. Then they had the safety that wasn't a safety, and then he just I don't know. It was weird. He did not play well at all. But in the same breath, I will say, if he doesn't slide, which he should have done, he played poorly, and they could have hung 30 on what unanimously by everybody's accounts is a top 5, 6, 7 defense in the league. So but he did not play well. Those were 2 of the worst interceptions I think I've ever seen him throw. I mean, I don't know what he was doing, what he was looking at, but it is what it is. The one thing
he could have had 3, but they had that bogus penalty call.
I mean, depends on if you think that changing the direction of a receiver is a penalty or not. But regardless, I mean, it is what it is. But the good thing about the NFL is you don't need style points. A win is a win.
Yeah,
so
you got the win. That's all that matters.
Yep. I agree.
Come on, Jarvie, you want to add something?
And some of the worst throws I've ever seen Mahomes ever make. That one lob, first interception was like, what was that? I mean, I know they're a great defense, but I'm intercepting that 10 out of 10 times. It was the most terrible throw I've seen him throw. It was awful. But I'm glad to see them come back. It's a good thing they had that lead. I loved seeing Pacheco running like a beast again, though. There's a lot of positives I took from it, and you probably left out one player that had a star week this week, and it was Jets quarterback. He got a dadgum touchdown. He looked unbelievable out there. This guy was throwing passes like it was crazy. I've never seen him play that well in his life. But hats off to him. I'm glad that the Chiefs got the dub. Taylor Swift is loving her life being a Chiefs fan, and so am I. So, let's go, baby.
All right. Speaking of Taylor Swift, let's get into the Doghouse. Puffy, who's in your Doghouse this week?
I'm going to go a little different direction this week. I'm actually going to throw Zach Taylor in the Doghouse, the Bengals head coach.
Yeah.
I heard his press conference, I guess it was yesterday. And, they asked him a question about 1 and 3 and all this stuff. And then they asked him about Burrow and his health. And his comment was, Joe Burrow is healthy to run our offense. And for me, I kind of feel like he threw his quarterback under the bus a little bit there. He's not healthy. You can see it when he's playing the game. He is laboring. And that comment, it was one of 2 things for me. Either he's covering up for an organization who's making a terrible decision and continuing to run their franchise quarterback out there to the Wolves, and he can't run the offense, or 2, he's throwing his quarterback under the bus because of his play calling and their offensive play calling and how they're handling the situation. For a guy that's got a quarterback like that, I don't think that was the right way to handle it. I think he could have handled it a lot of different ways. And I'm not a Burrow fan. I think he's number 2 quarterback in my mind. And I don't think that he deserved that comment from his head coach when he's clearly not healthy. He's going out there to try to help his team win. And the organization is not protecting him. And the offensive coordinator is not calling the plays that he can physically do with his calf injury right now. I didn't care for it. I thought he threw his quarterback under the bus, and I just didn't think Burrow deserved that type of comment after him going out there putting his body on the line, when in all reality he probably should not be playing.
All right, Jarvie, who's in your Doghouse?
The Doghouse this week. I'm throwing you. I'm throwing you. I'm throwing Seth Sanchez. I'm throwing Fat Boy, and I'm throwing me in the dadgum Doghouse. That was a brutal showing by every one of us this week. I mean, I'm still kicking myself. I picked the Cleveland Browns. I believed all the hype. I watched the games, and I thought this defense is legit. This defense is going to get after him. My gosh, that it was ugly. It was an ugly day for all of us, myself included. I'm still kicking my butt that I did not change my pick to the dadgum Vikings. I just knew, man, the Vikings, they'll take care of this. They'll take care of this. And yep. So sure enough for me, I'm in the Doghouse. I'm in the Doghouse this week. Put myself check mark right there in the Doghouse. Don't feed me for a week. All right. So I'm done.
All right. So
Man,
my doghouse is going to be the media on Sunday Night Football. You have Taylor Swift entering the stadium, and behind her is Ryan Reynolds, the one and only Deadpool. He doesn't get one freaking mention. Are you serious? Are you serious? The guy's worth 350 million in his own right, and they don't mention one word of Ryan Reynolds. I just cannot fathom that Taylor Swift is that popular that she gets
Oh,
that
she
much
is.
attention. Like, it's annoying.
oh, please. Taylor,
She's about to be worth over $1 billion.
I get it, but he's worth 350 million. It's freaking Deadpool. How do you not at least say, oh, what talking about her, say, oh, well, Ryan Reynolds is in the background too? Nothing. Not
Because
one thing.
they're making money off this deal.
Oh, good
They're gonna
grief.
milk this cow so she's dry.
maybe he was there because of her. Who knows?
Was because her and
Exactly.
Blake Lively are buddy.
Buddies. I mean, it's all about her. And I mean, Kelsey's the man. He's landed that thing. He's got it. Hook, line, and sinker. I love it. I love it. You go, Travis. You keep doing you, bro. I love it.
All right, let's go the opposite direction here. Let's give a dog a bone. Puffy, who you throwing a bone to this week?
I'm gonna throw a bone to the Bills.
Yeah,
they were impressive. I thought that the Dolphins were going to go in there and take control of that division, and the Bills absolutely just beat up the Dolphins in every single facet of a football game that you can. Josh Allen was amazing, like you said. He just picked them apart. The defense from Buffalo really impressed me. They didn't have Von Miller. They lost White, and they just shut that Dolphins offense completely down. So I'm gonna give the Bills as a whole, throw them a bone this week, and that might be the performance of the year for sure so far. That might have been more impressive than the Dolphins hanging 70 on the Broncos. I mean, that was that was impressive and fun to watch.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, but it's the Broncos.
Yep.
70 still impressive.
Yeah.
Who you throwing a bone to this week, Jarvie?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to change mine up. I went with the Bills last week, so I gave them everything they needed last week. And this week I could have went different ways. I could have first time give the Broncos a chance, but I'm not going to give them because they should beat the Bears. It is ugly. And all these games on Sunday was a blowout. But here's one thing that I've noticed about watching football this year and how much I'm beginning to just miss old school football in this sense. I'm beginning to not like analytics and what I understand about all these things with wanting to go for it, all these different things, going for it. I miss the days where you just get some dadgum points on the board and it's give a bone to the old school football. I want some field goal kickers. These kickers are the best kickers ever lived right now. And they're kicking field goals all the time, but yet they all go for it. They all, instead of getting points, they all go for it. And there we got fourth and whatever. I mean, it just all annoys me right now. So for me, give a dog a bones old school football. I'm missing some old school football. I know it sounds off different, but man, I want some field goals. I guess it's because I have so many spreads and different things going on, but man.
All right, so I'm going to throw a bone to my very own fantasy football team. I threw up 247 points over the weekend, which is so far the league high for any given week. So I'm throwing these guys a bone. They did well. They won me $20 for high point weeks, and I just went from second to last all the way up to third place after 247 points. So my fantasy team, kudos. I got Lamar, Diggs, McLaurin, Jacobs, Swift, Andrews, Drake London. Mostert had a brain fart, only scored 1 point. I picked up Josh Dobbs as a last second pickup because Deshaun Watson was out. Josh Dobbs had 25 points. Tampa defense gave me 24 points. So I had a good fantasy week, made a big jump. So throwing a bone to my boys on my fantasy team. A job well done by them. All right, so
Yep.
let's get into all right. So out of the this was Jarvis' topic he wanted to talk about here. Out of last year's playoff teams, what teams don't make it this year? So so last year the AFC teams were Bengals, Bills, Chiefs, Chargers, Dolphins, Jags, and Ravens. The NFC had the Niners, Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Bucks, Vikings, and Seahawks. So out of those teams that made the playoffs, who's at risk of not making the playoffs at this point of the season? Puff.
Well, out of the teams that you mentioned, just based on right now, I've got to go the Bengals. Out of the playoff teams, the Jags are not impressing, so to say, but that division is so bad that they're not going to have to do much more than win 9 games, I think. So Dolphins are good. Chargers, I think, are going to be fine. Bills, Chiefs, obviously, are good, and the Ravens are leading the division. So for me, it's the Bengals. They better figure something out, and they better do it quick. And now with T. Higgins going out, it's going to be tough. So right now, I'm going to go the Bengals right now.
Just the Bengals?
Oh, you want to do both?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Well, okay. Well, the Giants.
Okay. Hey, we'll do the AFC or the AFC first. So just out of the AFC, you only got the Bengals missing, and that's it. You keep all the others in.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I guess in the NFC, I'll go Giants and Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
the way I would do it is, I don't think the Bengals are going anywhere. I don't think the Chargers are going anywhere. I just think that
I don't either.
I just think that Staley's awful, and I just think they've had too many hiccups so far. I don't think they're going anywhere. I'm kind of torn on the Jags. I think they are the best team in that division, but there's something about the Texans that have me surprised and intrigued. Right now that division, everybody is 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's only 4 weeks, but that division is still very highly up in the air. So I'm not ready to throw the towel in on the Jags just yet. I think they are the best team, but I think the Texans could take that division. For the NFC, the Giants aren't going to go anywhere. With the Eagles and the Cowboys, they're going to be probably 1 and 2 in that division. The Vikings, I don't think they're going to come back and really do much. I really don't see them. Seahawks, I think they're a solid team. I think I don't want to say last year was a fluke, but I think it's going to be a hard hill for them to climb up.
You don't even think they can get one of the wild cards? The NFC is not that strong outside of the 3 or 4, studs.
Let me see. NFC got the Cowboys.
You got the Cowboys, Niners, and Eagles.
You got Lions and Packers.
Packers aren't great. Lions are good.
Yeah, but I'm saying the Lions are going to win their division, so you can't really.
But you have to look at it this way for the Seahawks. Like they're going to beat up on each other. The Rams, they could possibly split with the Rams. They could possibly split with the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are a tough team. I don't necessarily think they're good, but I think they play hard and they could get a win there. You know what I mean? Like, the Niners are going to probably beat them both times. So it's just going to be tough from the way I look at it. and like I said, some of these other divisions, I just don't see them making it. Like, very rarely are you going to have the same exact playoff teams as the previous year. So somebody's got to drop out. I mean, we like the Niners, we like the Cowboys, we like the Eagles. So the Giants are probably going to drop out. The Vikings are probably going to drop out. I just think the Seahawks are probably going to drop out too. That's the way I can see it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jarv?
Well, I definitely agree with you that the Bengals are definitely a big question mark right now. I think that they're a team that's on the outside looking in. They are in a very tough division, and I mean tough division. They're playing hard-nosed defenses every week when they got to go in. Even if as bad as an offense as Pitt is, they're still going to have to play a good defense. As bad as a backup QB is for Cleveland, they still got to play a solid defense. And Baltimore, despite their injuries, has been pulling through, and they'll be a tough team again. But I do think the Bengals are on the outside looking in. I don't see them making it this year, which was big expectations. I had them picked to go Super Bowl, so shows you how much I know. But the Chargers are another team I don't see making it this year. The reasons why, I think their offense, I think Herbert's playing the best he's ever played. But I don't trust that coach to get. I think that coach is going to cost them more games than not, and he ain't going to get to play the Raiders every daggum week. And so I think that the Chargers are on the outside looking in. I don't see them making it this year. I do think the Jags, I think they're gonna have to fight. I love the way the Texans are playing this year. We had zero expectations with them. We thought they were going to be whatever, but their QB has looked great. I mean, he's looked better than the Jags QB. He is throwing the ball great. He is making great plays. I'll be honest with you. He's one of my picks. I'm picking this week. I mean, I know he's going into an underdog this week, but I really do like the Texans this week, and I think they're playing good football. They're playing hungry football, and I love hungry football. I love it when they just go in there and do it. So I think Chargers are out, and Jags are just right on the question mark. They're going to have to really push through on this one. So for the AFC, that's mine, and then the NFC, I got Giants out for sure. They're one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, golly, this is one of those teams. If you see them playing in a survivor pool, go against them because they're just trash. Vikings, they are just really a crumbling team right now. I know he got the win this week, and they have such a great offense, but their line is terrible. Their defense is blah, and as lucky as they got last year, who knows how great of a team they really, really are. So I got them dropping out. And I can see your point of the Seahawks. I do see what you're saying. And part of that does help with just the division. And I know being in the AFC really does help. But I agree. I think they haven't really impressed me even in their wins. They just kind of get by on some of their wins, and I mean they've covered they covered for me on Monday night, but they're still not, like, to me, an amazing team. Giants got after him a few times on that defense, and if Jones could do anything on offense, they'd probably lose that game, to be honest with you. I mean, I thought Giants played fairly good defense against them, but it was just Giants' offense was god awful, and the defense had to be out there the entire time for the Giants. So I agree with you, Knight. I don't think Seahawks are that great. So for my question back to you then, so like who's a team that you think is going to make the playoffs then and kind of take those guys out? Who do you like?
See, go ahead, Puff.
You don't know?
Not really. I just think I need another couple weeks to kind of see who's real and who's not real.
I like the Browns to get in. I think that Deshaun will come back, and I think that defense just kind of had a fluke weird game this past week, and I do like the Browns to sneak in as a wild card probably. But other than that, I don't. There's so many good teams in the AFC that were there last year that I just, with the Bengals going out, I just don't, it's hard for me to, I don't think the Houston Texans are going to keep this up. At some point, at some point, talent, the lack of talent that you have, even if your quarterback's playing good. So there's just not very many any teams. I mean, the Bengals being 1-3 changes everything. It brings the Browns in, the Ravens, the Dolphins now. I mean, I don't know. It's like I'm kind of like not. I don't really know because it's outside of the normal. It's like, well, who is really? I mean, the Chiefs still own the West. The Bills or Dolphins are gonna take the East. You got who I think the Jags. The Titans they beat the Bengals, but I don't think the Titans are gonna do anything. I mean, so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I see Titans as a questionable team to maybe make it. They're just such a weird team. Like there's some weeks they look good, and there's some weeks you look like, gosh, this team could play for the Pee-wee football team. I mean, they look terrible some weeks, but it's weird. I think the NFL has been weird this year. I feel like there's been a lot of just I don't know, questionable plays. I feel like there's not been I feel like every week besides like maybe a couple quarterbacks, there's not that consistent quarterback play every week. I feel like there's just a lack of quarterback consistency all around the NFL. I mean, even Mahomes looked terrible this last week, and thankfully they got the dub. But I feel like I just feel like there's been some inconsistencies. So it's a really rough year, and I think there could be some surprise teams that still make it, and some that's going to be out. I think I heard like normally 5 to 7 teams are out of the playoffs the following year. Like it changes that much, like 5 to 7 teams or something like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I know you're not sold on the Texans, but they're gonna beat the Falcons this week, so that they're gonna be moving up to 3-2. I'm trying to find their schedule, but let's see here. Let me find their schedule real quick.
The Texans night, is that you're looking for?
Yeah.
Got the Falcons this week, then the Saints and Panthers.
Yeah, they can beat the. So yeah, I've got it. So they can beat the Falcons based on what we've seen the last 2 weeks. They can beat the Saints. They got a bye week. They can beat the Panthers. The Bucks they might struggle with. Bengals, depending on how they come back together, but week 10 they got the Bengals. That could be a possible winning game. Arizona, that could go 50-50. They could win that game. They play the Jags again in week 12. You would think the Jags would probably come back and win that game. They got the Broncos week 13. They got the Jets week 14. Then they round out Titans, Browns, Titans, and Colts. They have a winnable schedule right now.
Yeah, they do.
Like, I'm not saying they're a super superior team, but the way their schedule's playing out, like they're gonna rack. They could potentially get 10, 11, 12 wins.
Yeah, no, they could.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think they can possibly make the playoffs. Like, just looking at their schedule, like there's nothing on there that says they're going to lose 8 games. I mean, they could, obviously, they still have a lot of learning to do, but I think they could come out of that division just fine, or get a bye.
Yeah. It's football. I love it. You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, like I said, they could lose their next 4 games. True.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And they could, but they could win, you just never know. You can get on that. And then who knows, that Jags game, if their record is showing this and it becomes a big game, they could really get up for it. And, could be a battle, could be a come down. They know it's how much that game would matter if they start getting on a roll. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And like I said, a lot of this is based on how well CJ Stroud is playing. Like, no, he's playing. He's a beast right now. Yeah.
Like career, like all-time great right now. He's playing.
It's crazy. He's definitely surprised me. I'm not big on rookie quarterbacks, and I just think as long as he continues to play solid like this, I think they have a shot to win some games that you wouldn't have expected them to win. So,
yeah.
All right. I was going to get into the coaching hot seat, but we're running out of time, so we'll call it a day. Peace out, boys.
See you,
Later.
bud.